The momentum is in the air. You can feel it. Yes, you can feel it. The man on second movement is just the momentum is building and building. You can just feel it. You can sense it. Man on second is just on a roll right now. And we thank everyone for being along for the ride because this channel is just blowing up. It's doing so well. I'm so proud of everybody's, the support I've received that's allowed this channel to just keep growing and growing. We are recording this on April 6th. Already have topped 433,000 views for the month in 6 days. Perspective in February, which was a pretty good month, as just under 432,000. And then in March was when I guaranteed it. I had my Joe Namath guarantee of $1 million, drew 1.38, just under 1.4 million. We're certainly on a path to well eclipse that, and it's all because of you, because this is your channel, everyone. And Man on Second's YouTube channel is, make no mistake, the most important YouTube channel for high school sports in South Florida. And why is that? Because it's your channel. It's the channel that is basically builds on your momentum, because the footage here, the highlights, everything I'm doing is all about these players, these high school players, and so on. No agendas other than just to bring the most authentic, knowledgeable, all my 50 years, 40 plus years of professional journalism experience, not quite 50, I jumped ahead of myself, but well over 20 years on Major League Baseball, high school baseball. And I'm thankful for everyone for being along for the ride here on the Curtain Call podcast. What we focus on in the podcast is what I just saw this past week, games I saw. I give my thoughts, reactions. It's crunch time right now. I can't believe it. This week coming up is the last week of the regular season in high school baseball here in South Florida and the state of Florida. And fret not, after that, we got districts, regions, and we'll be going all the way to state and Fort Myers. And we want everyone to please like and subscribe. I'm closing in on 3,000 subscribers. I want to get that by the end of the day. Hopefully you people can make that happen, and then it's just going to keep growing. And so please like, subscribe, tell a friend, do all sorts of good stuff. But word is out, and we're having a lot of fun doing it. I appreciate all the parents, all the players, all the coaches who are so supportive, the people that come up to me at the games, tell me they enjoy various parts of the podcast, parts of the site. And again, this is your site. I'm just your messenger to give exposure to so many players. And frankly, they need it. And this is the outlet. And we are growing this. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I know, stuff like this organic, authentic way is the way. But, we're going to kind of jump into my last week. We're going to show some highlights. I'm going to give some thoughts at the end. So players, parents, coaches, the last 10 or so minutes of the show, I will, kind of break down some key elements. I'll show some highlights too. But last week, I don't know what I do, 4, 5, 6 games in 5 days. Got a rain out though. My first rain out of the year. True North Classical was going to be at Archbishop McCarthy on last Monday. Right about 6:40 for a 7 o'clock game. The coaches are there exchanging the lineup cards. The lightning meter went off. About 30 minutes later, I headed home because it started raining, and I knew it wasn't going to be played. But I did see True North Classical Academy the next day on Tuesday against Chaminade Madonna, and what a really good game. 5-3, won by Chaminade Madonna, which is one of the hotter teams in the state. See where I do the state rankings, see where I have the Lions this week coming up. They moved up in the standings. And True North Classical, we'll have to see tomorrow or later today, whenever it's posted, if you are back in the top 25 or not. But always a pleasure. I'm going to do a highlight up here of Spencer Krasner. Obviously, Spencer, the ace of the Chaminade Lions, and kind of he brought a lot of energy. Spencer obviously was at American Heritage last couple of years. He won a state title as a freshman. As a sophomore, went to the state title game. He pitched in the semifinals. Didn't go their way in the finals. He did win in the semis, but really has brought a lot of energy. You could see the really good Spencer, his slider there, and then Spencer with the fist pump and the emotion and all the things that make Spencer Spencer, who clearly has a good time out there. Let's throw it right back out there again. A little bit of traffic on the base, but the execution of a pitch, big game because these are two 2A teams with high aspirations. They may meet up in regionals as well. District is coming up, and it's going to be some really really good baseball coming up. But again, this slider is wipeout. It's as good a slider certainly for a lefty that we have around here. And let's throw yet another. And just kind of my thoughts on Chaminade. Their resume kind of speaks for itself. They're beating really good teams. They're playing a lot of good teams. They're finding a way to win. I think they won about 10 in a row. I have to double check that, but it's roughly about 10 in a row. And what I like about how the Lions are playing is they kind of score early. They play with a lot of energy. They play with a lead, and they play those day games because they don't have lights there. So they're very good at home. And again, True North Classical Academy is a really good program, and that was a really good test for them, and a lot of excitement in that game. It did have a playoff feel to it, so you could tell that these two teams know what's at stake. Well, I was at the game. Joshua Wright, hat tip to Joshua Wright. He had a home run in that game, and so a good week for Chaminade. They also played Cardinal Gibbons, and they won that one. And I think sometime this week coming up, they play Archbishop McCarthy, another team that's red hot. They're going to play them down at Lone Depot Park in Miami later this week, and so that should be a fun one as well. So saw that game. Things that stand out, like I said, the pitching. Their ability to kind of, manufacture runs. They're not a big home run type hitting team, the Lions, but every now and then they'll run the ball out of the ballpark if they get a pitch they can handle. But a lot of confidence there. True North Classical Academy, they're a fun team because they'll bunt with 2 outs, they'll bunt with 2 strikes. They look to play. They move up 90 feet. They play the bases. They're very fundamentally sound. They pitch really well. They do a lot well, and they had their chances. They were just that one big hit away from rallying to beat Chaminade. But again, if that was kind of a little prelude to what the districts and the regions are going to look like, some fun stuff's ahead. Beauty of going to a game at 4:00 on Tuesday allowed me to go to a second game. And obviously that Tuesday night, last Tuesday, was the big marquee of the week, was Stoneman Douglas at St. Thomas Aquinas. But I knew it was going to be a madhouse. Sometimes I have to be in position to video to spots I like to. So I was, just didn't really want to kind of be in that environment, even though it was I knew it would be a great environment. So it was a little harder for me to work the video. So I just went to Nova, saw them play Pembroke Pines Charter. I haven't seen Pines Charter play in a while. And turns out that game went 9 innings. It was a great game as well. 3-2, won by the Jaguars over Nova. So that my Tuesday starts out. It made up for my rain out on Monday because I saw 16 innings of baseball, 7 innings in Chaminade in a 9-inning game, 2 extra innings. Again, 2 teams that really scrap and fight. And it's a matter of those late innings, these 1-run games. It's a matter of execution, and Pines Charter did that better than Nova that day, and that's why they won. But I do want I did obviously monitor the St. Thomas Stoneman Douglas game, and that was won 5-2 by the Eagles. Clearly, the best team right now, down here in South Florida is Stoneman Douglas, among the best teams in the state. Again, a favorite in 7A to win it all. And they're just playing really well. I mean, they went up to Tampa the week or so before during spring break, won 2 out of 3, including a big win over Tampa Jesuit. Then they came home and they played St. Thomas at St. Thomas, a a park where it's one of the smaller dimension fields, so the ball flies out of there. But they had their antidote for that. If you're going to play at St. Thomas, you best to not let them hit balls hard. And Gio Rojas did his thing. He pitched a complete game that day. And Stoneman Douglas, Bennett Gary continues to be, playing really hot. He's been really good all year, and he's really stepping up at this time of year. He homered that day, and hat tip to Brady Bucksbaum. He had 2 more home runs for St. Thomas, so he accounted for both their runs, 5-2. So it was another really good game, and Julian Diaz pitched. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Gio 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 7 innings. Again, really, those are 2 of the best teams around. Obviously, St. Thomas in 6A has a really good chance to go to Fort Myers and with a chance to win it all. They certainly have the offense, and Gio right now is he's arguably the best lefty or best pitcher in the state of Florida. Class of 26, University of Miami. If he keeps pitching like this, more and more pros are on him. Chances of being drafted are very high. So that was that game. Let's move it on to Wednesday. I did another doubleheader. I was at a day game. Archbishop McCarthy scheduled Miami Christian, which I like to see because I like to see Miami Christian. McCarthy, like I said, is hot as anyone. They won about 7 or so in a row. They pull that one out. The Mavericks win that one 2-0. Just McCarthy. They're young, but they do have senior leaders with like Danny Machado and Juan Serra. Those are 2 really good senior leaders for them. But their young players are kind of finding their identity. They're becoming a very dangerous team in 5A. So McCarthy, really interesting. Like I said, 2-0. Miami Christian, second time I've seen them. Both times they just really struggle to score. Their offense is really struggling. Obviously, last year they lost in the state championship game in 2A. I think they're 1A right now. But it just hasn't been their year. But obviously, a proud program, and we'll see what happens with Miami Christian. They do have a pitcher that pitched that game. Bear with me a second. I forgot to write his name down. But for Miami Christian, a pitcher who throws like low 90 to 93, and he's an interesting right-hander who started that game and threw pretty well against McCarthy, but I think he gave up 1 of the 2 runs. He went about 5 innings. Let me see if I got his name here. I do have it, so hold on. What's his name? I should be more prepared, everybody, but that's what happens when you're authentic. You do this stuff. Derek Munoz, right-handed pitcher. They list him at 6'2", 195. Looked a little taller to me on the mound. But Derek Munoz is a guy who, like I said, low 90s, fastball, breaking ball's pretty good. Still, a very interesting type of pitcher to keep an eye on to see what kind of future that Derek has. But interesting pitcher. I had fun watching him play, and so we'll see what happens with Miami Christian. They'll have to kind of regroup, get it going to see. Let me see what their schedule is. As they kind of this week they play on Tuesday. So they end up they're going to be tested at the end of the year. On the 11th, on Friday, they go up to IMG Academy. The Ascenders have been destroying everybody all year. They only have 1 loss, the number 1 team in the state. And so that will really kind of be an indicator how Miami Christian does going into the district tournament. And then later that night, I after that game, I went up to Plantation, saw American Heritage beat West Broward 5-2. Another really good game. I do want to kind of show a highlight. Let me tee this one up. So I thought this was an interesting play. Heritage is a team. When American Heritage shows up and plays their A game, they can beat anyone. But we haven't seen that A game very often, and that's their inconsistency is what brings a little worry. But here's a really good play. West Broward's another team that very, very talented team. But I like this play here. I kind of broke it down. It's got a lot of views I got this as a short on the channel. But as you see here, let's set the stage here. I'll let you watch this in full again. That the pitch, that's Wes Broward in the field. The pitcher is Ivan Sabater. The catcher is Manuel Sarcos. The base runner for Heritage is Joey Castro. And let's take us through what we see here as we kind of break this one down, because a lot's going on here. You can see in the video, Adrian Bermudez, A-Dog, second baseman for Wes Broward. He's kind of, he's kind of cheating over to second. Joey Castro can run fast, so he's kind of, keeping an eye on him. There's one out, and he's kind of keeping him close to second. Joey obviously senses that Bermudez is over there. Ivan's like staring at him, and when a lot here now, he's going to throw a breaking ball. And he's going to get a strikeout, throw him out, double play. Really great play by Mano Sarcos, their catcher here. And let's take us through. And a good tag by Isaiah DeValle at third. But watch it through. See, what I like here was, look how fast it was. Sabater already had the signal. He already knew what pitch he was going to throw. So, as you can see, Joey Castro's looking to see at his move home, he's going to third. And he's fast, like I said, but he doesn't have a very big lead. So, and you can see Manu kind of setting his feet, anticipating. But the beauty of this is it's a breaking ball that's thrown. It's a right-handed hitter. And look at Manu's footwork as he kind of positions himself and how quick he is to get that pitch for strike three. So batter's out, 2 outs. And you can see here where I froze it, just how Joey's not even close to third, and boom. And Isaiah's there sitting there with the ball just ready to slap the tag on him. And it's a strike him out, throw him out. Just a really well-executed play. And why is this stuff important, and why are we showing this? Because these are the games of, the plays that are going to determine, which teams are going to move on in districts and so forth. The teams that could kind of minimize, and why I've seen so many pitchers try to keep guys close to second by keep throwing to second, or they step off. Or they'll do all that, and then they'll take a long time to get the sign from the catcher. But again, all this was so quickly and so well done that some simple 6, 7, 8-second video highlight, there was a lot done and a lot of the preparation where Sarcos because you see Mano, he can see Joey's going. So right in front of him, the catcher sees he's already off. Pitches come in, it's going to be a breaking ball, and on the inside part of the plate. It's going to get the swing and miss, and look how fast, boom, it's out there again. Hats off to everybody involved in that play. What could Joey Castro have done differently? Well, clearly they were on to the pitch he was going on. So, maybe you don't go on that first pitch. Maybe you got to kind of play it out. And obviously they want you on third base, but you basically, you telegraphed it, and really good job by Wes Broward to, like I said, again, everything from Bermudez, just keeping him honest, to how fast Ivan, that's a big time pitch, to already have in your mind and already go, like not sit there and wait and, just go execute the pitch. I think there was one other thing I was wanting to show you guys from this video that I found fascinating is, and Ivan's a junior and USF commit. Let's take it from the top. Let me see if I can pause it. See, he went to a full leg, he's in the stretch, obviously, but he didn't do a slide step or anything. They're able to get this much of an out with the pitcher with a pretty high leg kick on it. Not obviously he's in the stretch, but look at his leg kick. Boom. You can see right there. And again, and now you can see Joey's going, Manu's already bracing for it. Isaiah's already moving over. Bermudez keeping them close. But because they were executing, that's a really athletic move. And that's the thing with Wes Broward. Bermudez, a second baseman's a pitcher. Ivan's a pitcher, second baseman. That these are athletic kids doing athletic plays. And really good highlight. I hope people kind of break that down, kind of, don't just look at the highlight as, oh, well, that was fun. Here's me throwing a kid out. Get something out of it. What was why did that play happen? And if you're the base runner, what can I do differently? Obviously you can't do the same patterns all the time and how you hold runners, but I thought that was I thought that was really, really a good highlight. And one of the, as I was breaking that down more, I just really like that play, and I think that's an example of how tempo and the thing, like the West Broward kids, just like the Heritage kids, their team. These guys are together a lot, so they know that's what this team concept really is important. Talk things out. Yeah, I'm sure that was well prepared to do that play, and that was, even though the game didn't go West Broward's way that day, that play was brilliant, and I enjoyed watching that. Again, Heritage, Dylan Dubovic's really starting to come on. He's a senior Miami commit who could get drafted. The bat is really coming along too, and he pitched that game. He got like 4 strikeouts. Key with Dylan, I think he was throwing like 93 or so that game. Throws hard, very athletic. As much of a threat, probably more with the bat. But what Dylan's got to do is just kind of just stay with himself, not try to overthrow, not try to overly impress, not get so consumed with trying to throw 95, 96 and lose command. It's about pitch execution right now, because for Heritage, in all these teams, but the Heritage arms have to really kind of step up if they want to get back to the state and win it all. So again, some more observations, and then let's go to Thursday. I was at Pines Charter against JC Bermudez, 9-5 for the Jaguars in that game. Jaguars are playing pretty good baseball. They're gonna really be tested in district when they go up against McCarthy, and McCarthy's going to be hosting, so that should be fun over there in 6A. Friday, I did have a chance to go see Stoneman Douglas at Monsignor Pace. Really good game again for the Eagles. Not so much for Monsignor Pace. Ended up being 9-0. But Monsignor Pace is a good team. They got some really good players as well. And I want to break down my last highlighted player. Let me add him to the stage. There he is. There's my guy, Rudy Marichal. Rudy is a FIU commit, shortstop, really good looking hitter, good athlete. You see here, he stays with the pitch. He takes it the other way and just hits the ball hard. Plays a really good shortstop. FIU's getting a really good player. Wouldn't be shocked if, the scouts are looking at him as a potential draft, and they certainly have their eye on him, even if he doesn't get, selected in the draft this year. He'll be at Florida International, and again, all these hitters that kind of, he got good bat speed, got a pitch they could do, handle, and he did, and so that was, I thought that was a good highlight as well. Just boom, you see how hits the ball with authority. So make note of him. But as we talk about the Stoneman Douglas, let's talk a little bit more about them, because the Eagles. What I like about what they're doing is you could tell they are now transitioning from early in the year, where they're trying to get the feel for the season, middle of the year, make it through the rough patches. And they have 2 losses. They don't have had rough patches in terms of wins and losses, but in terms of players dealing with slumps and highs and lows that are natural with any part of the season. And now it's crunch time and expectations are high, and we all know that at Stoneman Douglas, it's kind of win it all or it's been a bad year. But, this is a team certainly capable of doing big damage and going and doing it again. And so enjoy watching them play. They're good at taking bases right now. Balls in the dirt, they read it well. They'll take the base. They will they kind of got the killer mentality. They got the pitching staff to do a lot of damage, to go very deep, obviously, with Gio. And so, they're going to need more than Gio, obviously. And Chase Wild Route, he pitched really well against Monsignor Pace, and Braylon Courtney came in relief and shut the door, 9-0, like I said. And this team, a lot of left-handed pitching. Lorenzo Laurel and Cade Rowley homered in that game for the Stoneman Douglas Eagles. So They do what they do, and I look forward. I'll see them this week. They'll close it out regular season Tuesday. They play St. John Newman, which started a year in the top 25, but kind of been bounced. They've had a little bit of more downs than up to stay there, but quality program. And then Wednesday, really big matchup, and I look forward to going up to Parkland and seeing this. Doral Academy, they go up and close the season out for Heritage. Doral, I mean, they went up to IMG twice in the last couple of weeks and got spanked both times. This past, I think Friday, they lost 11-1. And, so again, it's no shame to lose to IMG Academy. They're loaded. But, we'll see if how playing that level of competition helps the Firebirds as they get ready for their districts and more. And what I want to kind of talk about now in the kind of closing 5 to 10 minutes of the podcast is just some of my thoughts, some of the tendencies I'm seeing here. I want to talk a little bit about. I know some people, they get kind of the issue of sportsmanship and the mercy rule that kind of comes into play. But keep this in mind right now for these teams that have state championship aspirations. The mercy rule is what they're going to do. It's not about if you're up 9-0 like Douglas was. They want to beat you 10. They want to, and this is important. The 10-run mercy rule, in case people don't know it, after 5 innings, if you're up by 10 runs, the game ends. If it's a 15-run lead through 4 innings, the game ends. So if there's teams that could, if you're up 9-0 or 10-1 in the 4th inning, and you can put that, and then that game in 5, you want to do that because every inning you save from your pitchers is valuable in how the playoffs are set up. Because a lot of the teams that we're seeing, some of these teams are missing their best pitchers due to injury. And the season this year is 9 weeks instead of 11, so they condensed that because now the playoffs, the regionals, are going to be 2 out of 3. So teams are going to try to save their pitching as much as possible. So if parents or coaches, no one wants to be embarrassed, but the system is set up to mercy rule you, because otherwise, not everybody has 20 pitchers who, if you have, again, that you could just throw anyone in there and there's no drop off, and you want to save some of these arms. You don't need, you don't necessarily want your horses and your high leverage relievers to, constantly be pitching. And yes, I guess you could a counter argument say you could use those last inning or 2 for more playing time for your players. But most of these teams, they're rotating guys in and out anyway, and you just need to save your pitching. Because every pitch you throw, these guys, it's max effort. The velocity has never been higher. The amount of times they're throwing breaking balls has never been higher. So whenever you could, shave an inning or 2 for these players, you do it. And I'm not going to fault a coach for trying to beat you by 10 runs. They're not looking to rub your nose in anything. They're looking to advance their team and prepare their team to put them in the best chance to win in districts and in regions, and eventually, they're lucky enough to get to Fort Myers and semis in the final. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to light, because I don't think some people really realize that, hey, why are they stealing a base, or why are they bunting up 9 runs? Well, the game is kind of set up for this. In high school football, if you're up by 35 points in the second half, they do a running clock, which I'm all for. And I know some of the bigger schools, the private schools, have so many players, it cuts down the repetitions of people. But that's a violent sport like football. These kids could get hurt by just, playing. No one wants to be hurt in a 34-7 game, because the game just kept dragging on and more penalties. So again, there's a running clock in football for a reason. There's a mercy rule in baseball for a reason. And one other thing I want to kind of mention too, as players look to close their season, as teams, I had a conversation with a mom of Chase Wild Route. She was noting that in one of the innings, Chase, like with 2 outs, he either walked the guy, gave up a hit, and I mentioned it's a finish mentality. And that and I'm using Chase as an example. I'm not singling him out. He did nothing wrong. And it's very common that, once you get 2 outs in an inning, this happens up at the big league level. This is why closers are so hard to find. The players the pitchers who can handle the pressure of the final outs of games. Not everyone's built for that. And then, just any pitcher, you may be breezing every inning you get 2 outs and 2 strikes, and you kind of exhale, you relax. The next thing you know, you're giving up a cheap hit and you start walking guys, and you may not give up a run, but you put a lot of extra pitches on your arm. You create a stressful inning. You got the bullpen up, and they may have to come in to bail you out. But the mentality, you're not always going to do it, because the hitter has a finish mentality too. They want to keep their at bats alive, and they want positive results for them. But as a pitcher, you got to kind of have a finish mentality. Finish what you start. Don't let the coach come and take the baseball from you because you get 2 quick outs and then give up 3 runs, because you throw 20, 30 more pitches because you start walking guys. Yes, their errors happen, and you can't control if your teammate bobbles a ball, but you could also pick your teammate up. We talked about that before, where you just, don't let that error be an excuse to give up a bunch of unearned runs. You just bear down even more. But again, that's a mentality too. You don't relax until you're back in the dugout after getting the 3rd out. So that's going to be a big, big key in districts in the playoffs, is the teams with that mentality to finish what they start, to finish an inning. Because once we get to districts, folks, next week when we talk again, all the games are going to be, for some it's going to be 1 and done, and for others it's going to be a 2 out of 3. But you're going to have to really tighten your game up. And but I thought that was a good topic, the finish mentality. I wanted to address that. That's a good point to get out there as well. Again, the Curtain Call podcast, we're doing it. We're having fun with it. I can give you the most up-to-date analytics there. Let's see what we're at right now. Here we are on Sunday afternoon. My analytics page is stuck. So, but again, we're at over 432,000, which is amazing. Like I said, that's 430, just under 432 is what I did in February. So for 6 days and counting. So I'll try to get up to 500,000 certainly by the morning. And again, we do that thanks to you guys. Please subscribe. We're having a lot of fun here on the channel. Again, enjoying all the feedback from everybody. I got my Forget About It shirt on. I got my Flash leather hat. If people can't see this, that's actual leather. And why I wear that too on a day like today is you better play some good defense as well, folks, because if your players aren't securing the baseball, then you're going to be losing games that you should win, or your season's going to come to an end. And we have no intentions here on the Man on Second podcast and the Curtain Call podcast and Man on Second channel of ending this ride we're on anytime soon, because this is the fun part. You want to play for something, and we're getting close to that. But with that, again, thanks to everybody for all the support. Please leave comments, in the comments section, because that kind of it helps engagement, gives me ideas. And again, I'm getting a lot of positive feedbacks at the field. So we're going to just keep this ride and this momentum going. With that, the Man on Second channel, please, again, subscribe. This, again, to everybody, the Curtain Call podcast, and we will catch everybody.